as always, honored and excited to get to host another Power to Fly virtual event. Now, today we're going to go beyond the sales pitch. We're going to be speaking to women leaders at Dassault Systems on meaningful B2B connections. Now, before we dive into today's chat, I just want to real quick help y'all out with a look at our code of conduct today. It looks like a big scary wall of legalese, but truly what it boils down to is just don't act like a jerk, okay? As long as we act from a place of kindness and respect, it's pretty hard to go wrong from there. But if you have any further questions on this or you want extra details, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always ask me. You can DM me in the chat. You can find my name, Meg Alexander, in the dropdown. You can also reach out to our help desk inbox. That email is hi@powertofly.com. Sorry, y'all. There we go. All right, now there's a little bit of housekeeping. This will be especially important if maybe today is your first event with Power to Fly. And if that's the case, then hi, welcome. We're so happy to see you today. Now, the love is no less real for my frequent flyers, so thank you to everyone joining us today, whether today is your first event or your 40th. Now, the key to Power to Fly events is participation. You can do that in a couple different ways. One of my favorite, obviously, is to turn your cameras on and share your smiling, maskless faces with us safely. Now, there is no need to be Instagram perfect. I think I've got day 2 bedhead going on. So whether you're coming to us from your living room couch or a corner office, it makes no difference to us. We are just so happy to see you and have you join us today. Now, we are recording, what that means for all of you is you don't have to take notes. You can relax and enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with these fabulous leaders from Dassault Systems, and not worry if you miss a link that was shared or a resource that was shouted out. So don't worry. What that means is for everybody that registered, y'all will get an email in the coming days, usually sometime early next week, and that will have a link to where you can rewatch this recording once we post it live on powertofly.com. Now, there is a huge backlog. All of our past chats are stored on powertofly.com, so I very much recommend you check it out there. But let's just say that one of the women today says something unbelievable, and you can't wait, 4 to 5 business days to get a link to rewatch this. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. We'll find the videos posted there as well, and we're incredibly excited to get y'all to check out some of our greatest hits on that YouTube channel as well. So definitely take a look around. Now, the other thing I want to highlight is the chat. So please feel free to network with your fellow attendees, ask us questions, let us know how you're feeling about what the speakers are saying today. I will be in the chat the entire time, so I'll have eyes on target there. And you can always message me directly or DM me if you have a question that you'd like to ask, but you want to be kept anonymous. Now, I'm very excited to introduce y'all to Dassault Systems. They are a fabulous partner of ours and have been absolutely amazing parts of my Power to Fly journey, having worked for them. And so I'm really excited to introduce you to the Dassault team. Now, first up, we have Sarah Klinger. Now, Sarah is a global leader in digital transformation and consultative sales with a background spanning management consulting, data analytics, and marketing. Her career includes high-impact roles at world-leading organizations. At Google, she managed a $100 million global retail portfolio and won the YouTube Sales Award for EMEA in 2023. And at Dassault Systems, she has earned the Value Up Sales Award for 2 consecutive years. Sarah led the launch of TWINT, Switzerland's first award-winning mobile payment app, now serving over 5 million users. And she won the UBS EMEA Innovation Hackathon in 2017 for a pioneering AI project. Now, beyond her corporate achievements, Sarah is a European champion of international public speaking and a certified human potential life coach and breathwork instructor. She's dedicated to blending cutting-edge technology with a deep understanding of human potential to drive meaningful impact. Sarah, welcome to the group today. I'm so excited to get to speak with you. Is there anything else you think our audience members should know about you?
Me too. Just the pronunciation of the mobile payment app, it's Twint.
Twint, thank you.
But I'm blushing. That was a really nice introduction. Thank you.
Hey, it's not me. It's all you. You were the one with the accomplishments. All right. Now, joining Sarah, we also have Francesca Sambin. Now, Francesca is a seasoned technology executive with 3 decades of experience in sales process management, people leadership, and high-impact business strategy. Her career began at PTC in 1996, and since joining Dassault Systems in 2009, Francesca has held senior leadership roles, including sales director for transportation and mobility, as well as brand sales director. And she now leads business development across life sciences and pharma, CPGR, financial services and banking, and fashion. Now, Francesca specializes in developing collaborative business plans that align customer needs with team goals to consistently exceed targets. Beyond her corporate role, Francesca serves as a mentor in a worldwide program and as a board leader for international sales certifications, helping to define industry standards. She believes modern sales demand rigorous method, determination, and creativity, with correctness and integrity as the ultimate keys to long-term success. Francesca, welcome to the group as well. I'm very excited to speak with you. Is there anything else our audience members should know about you today?
No, thank you very much for your introduction. Very precise, and thank you. No more to add.
Of
Thank you, Meg.
course. All right. And then rounding out the crew, we have Dr. Angelica Scheifele. Now, Dr. Angelica Scheifele is a distinguished sales executive with over 25 years of experience driving digital transformation through strategic sales leadership, people development, and business planning. Now, Angelica's career began in 1999 as an attorney before transitioning into tech, including over 16 years at SAP in business development and channel management roles. Since joining Dassault Systems in 2020, Angelica has risen to Senior Director Diversification Industries for Central Europe, leading sales across home and lifestyle, high tech, industrial equipment, and life sciences. Now, beyond her corporate role, Angelica serves as a business mentor for the Rise Up Career Program and as a university lecturer for executive MBA students in digital leadership. She's a certified negotiator with a doctorate in law, and Angelica believes digital transformation is inherently human-centric and driven by the innovative strength of diverse, trusted teams. Dr. Scheifele, is there anything else you would like us to share with the audience about you today before we dive into questions?
Thank you very much, Meg. No, just we agreed to drop the doctor as fast as this formal part of the intro is over. So thank you very much.
I promise. Like I told you, if I were a doctor of anything,
Exactly.
I
Don't
would
shout
never
out
be
about
quiet.
it. Yes, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So I'm very excited to get to speak with our accomplished team today. Before we dive in, I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions or if you want to dive in deeper on any of the subjects that we're talking about, please feel free to ask in the chat. I will have eyes on target there the entire time. And we're very much looking forward to hearing from y'all. So thank you. All right. So Francesca, my question first is going to go to you. Now, you have built a very long career on a belief that integrity and consistency are what drive lasting success. What does it really mean to show up for a customer beyond the initial deal? And why do you think so many professionals struggle with this step?
I built a long career in sales, a long time, just a little less than 30 years. I am not so old, but it's a long time. And I understand in my experience that the customer choose technological solutions, then revolutionize the company, the business balance, the processing. And these are quite support, presence, even if after the sales. You have to support the change, you have to stay there. I consider that the sales is a real art, and you need a method, you need the skills, you need the consistency and fairness. The method you can learn because there are more than one, and after we can go more in deep on these, but you can learn. The skill sometimes is inside the people and have to be developed. Consistency and integrity is so important and key words because without this it's impossible to sell. It requires dedication, time, effort. So, in my opinion, it's for this reason that many professionals struggle because it is often easier to dedicate oneself to another sales. You sell and after go in another sales, rather than consolidate what you have already sold to the customer. Could be also because they don't want to have a big responsibility because the trustability I say after is responsibility. No, you have an image with the customer and you have to maintain during the year. In my professional experience, the time that I have dedicated to the customer has always been rewarded by mutual trust every time. And it's very important from my side because it's a part of a sales cycle, in my opinion. Even now, there are some customers that call me for my previous company, PTC, and ask if there is the right module that they have to buy, and say, I'm no more in PTC, I'm in Dassault System now. But it's a way to confirm to me that I am trustable for them. They see me like an advocate. and it's so nice for myself, of course, but also for the customer. So in my opinion, sell and run is not the right way to say. Because in the short term you gain money, of course, but you cannot make a repeat business. Repeat business is so important, really so important. You have to stay in the place, to the customer. In the past, I say to my people, to my team, that they have to put a Canadian tent inside the place of the customer. Because if you stay there, you can understand every kind of need that the customer have, and you can also build on a real trustability. The must point for me is you have to earn the customer trust. In this way, you can sell and be trustable for the company, because as you know, the people buy people, not always only by company. So you have to be trustable for you and for your future.
Yeah,
Too
of
long,
course.
too much, I don't know.
I was raised by a salesman, so this idea of sell and run the concept is very familiar to me. And it's one of those things that's never made a ton of sense, if only because finding customers is one of the most like time consuming and like costly parts of the sales journey. So once you've found your customer, the last thing you want to do is be like, okay, great, I've sold something, bye. Like you do want to maintain these relationships. And
Exactly.
I think it is something that we develop with practice, but you're right. I mean, it's not something that's necessarily innate, and it's definitely something you get better at time. With the experience of handling clients and seeing what it's like. So I love this response. I did want to ask real quick because we didn't get to go much into it. We talked a little bit about your what your career has been like, but what was your personal journey like getting into sales? What was that like for you?
My personal journey in the sales start, as I say, a long time ago. And at the beginning, I manage a small account, and sometimes they look at me like a different person in the world, like Martians, because I was a woman and I am a woman. And after, when I learn more about me and about the company that I represent, something changed, and it show up the real skill that I have, and also the method that I use for sales. And this is the first step for the trustability. And the traceability, as I say, is so important. And so, even if you don't believe in traceability, you need you need it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. All right, my next question is going to go to Sarah. So let me bring you up on stage here, Sarah. There we go. So my question for you, you have worked all across some of the world's most innovative organizations, obviously including Dassault Systems, and you are known for blending data, strategy, and human connection. How do you approach building trust with someone new, whether it's a customer, a stakeholder, or a colleague? Because these can be very different relationships to navigate.
Absolutely. So I found that I can only truly build trust with the customer or anyone, basically, if I am acting in total alignment with my personal values. And everyone is unique. Everyone in this room is unique. And regardless where you in the audience are in your career or studies journey right now, I believe authenticity, and for that, you need to know who you are and who you want to become. So my personal mission, for instance, is to connect people, ideas, and technology. And this way, I want to achieve a positive impact together. So think about what is your personal mission. And there is a Steve Jobs quote that became one of my mantras. It says, "The ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." So that's the mindset I bring to every deal, every team, and every customer transformation. And for the past 14 years already, I have purposely thrown myself into disrupted industries where traditional ways of working no longer worked. So when the newspaper was dying, I supported mergers and acquisitions of online media. During the banking crisis, I transformed how Switzerland spends money and brought the national mobile payment scheme to the market. And during the tech crisis, we've already heard the intro, but I had the honor to scale a 9-digit portfolio at Google before now at Dassault. I had the opportunity to close the first virtual twin as a service worldwide. So that all might sound fancy, but I want to be honest here. My path has not been linear at all. So I had to fight through highly political environments, corporate silos, and I had to constantly prove that a fresh perspective can outpace, outdated ways of working. And that bumpy road also taught me that true transformation does not come from a cookie cutter playbook, but it comes from knowing how to blend the hard data with deep human connection to align with C-suite visions, but then also the hands-on execution. So my advice is that no one should ever fear challenging the status quo. And the best sales professional, in my personal point of view, aren't the sellers. They are the change agents.
I love all of this. Absolutely love all of this. I am very much in agreement with you that a lot of times I don't think people understand that you sort of have to give yourself permission to change the world. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a mindset that a lot of us are locked into of thinking like, oh, well, it's other people that do these things. And it's like, no, they're people, same as you. So I love that. And I also absolutely love this idea of seeing it as a way to move the business and move people forward as opposed to just making a sale, developing a new product. You know what I mean? Like I love the attitude that you have. The energy is honestly infectious. I'm like much more raring to go for the rest of the day than I was before you started. So thank you for that.
No, but it's true. I mean, when we talk about building trust, we often look outward, but the reality is that for me, trust starts with you.
Yeah. What has that been like? Could you give us an example of how you had to build trust with someone?
Oh, yeah. A recent example, even. So, the time when I transformed a really negative customer relationship into a championship. So, that was in my client executive role at Dassault Systems when I joined the company 3 years ago. And I inherited a major client who had lost all the trust in us and wanted to de-invest. So, I clearly needed to regain trust. So, instead of trying to save the sale with more product pitches, I shifted my mindset from vendor to a trusted partner. So first, I prioritized listening instead of talking. Salespeople already talk too much. So I organized a start, stop, continue feedback session with the customer to hear from them where we were failing in the past. So it turned out that they felt we were just pushing software instead of solving their real business problems. So I pivoted my approach to a data-driven approach. I, meanwhile, obviously use AI, but also my expert colleagues' insights to build deep customer analysis, including the customer's business challenges and value opportunities. And by validating this kind of homework of a customer profile with the customer, the dynamic then shifted to salesperson versus customer to two partners who want to solve a problem together. And then we went deeper. So I hosted an inspiration workshop where my account team and I purposefully did not show any products at all. Instead, we focused entirely on industry trends. So this shared understanding then allowed us to co-create a shared vision and a 5-year roadmap with the customer instead of just smashing our ideas on their heads. But I also knew I had to connect, of course, on a human level. So how do you connect with humans? You find something you have in common with them, and that applies to customers too. So turns out, fun fact, that my customer and I bonded over our shared experience that we moved from a German-speaking country to Sweden. Now that's a good icebreaker, but I guess the most powerful move that I made was asking the question, how are you measured and how can I help you as an individual to shine? So that single question turned me from a vendor to their internal advocate. And the result was that within 1 year, we became their partner of choice. We signed a multi-year deal for a new business model that we innovated together and eventually co-presented that at a major Dassault Systems event in front of 5,000 people. And the best of all was I helped my customer to get promoted because I understood how they are measured and let them shine. So this experience proved to me that trust is not a sales pitch. People don't buy software. They buy into the people who care about them in a consistent way.
Yeah. Oh my God, like I'm having to hold myself back from being like, yes, all the things, because like you're you're asking questions of the customer, like not just like, how's it going, but like, what do you need? You're listening to those responses, and you're, like you said, you're reframing the relationship between yourself and the customer as, instead of vendor and buyer, it is instead, where are your pain points? How can I help with this? Like that is absolutely just like not gonna, like, absolutely love all of this. It's a really great way to go with it. Let's see, what else did I want to talk to you about? Oh, the only other thing I did want to ask, what has your personal journey been like through sales? So we talked a little bit about, how you've had to kind of fight your way through different corporate areas, but what has it been like for you, personally, as your journey kind of progresses?
Yeah, now you need to imagine a super young junior Sarah in a very male-dominated and hierarchical environment. And on top of that, I was pretty shy, I guess. Now you can imagine my great ideas have never been heard in a boardroom. So I decided to become the person I want to be, an inspiring speaker. And in order to do that, I joined the Toastmasters International. That's a rhetoric club to learn how to master communications. Now going from that shy junior person to then winning the European Championships in public speaking while inspiring others, when I even led 8 corporate clubs with 180 members. That was a true game changer in my early 20s. And it gave me, the confidence to move from just having ideas to convincing others to take action. So besides all the data I use to back up my personal ideas and opinions, I think you need to have that voice to bring your ideas across. So in a nutshell, when you combine what I mentioned before, your authentic self with the mastery of your voice, you don't just close deals, but you build an army of followers who believe in, the future that ideally you create together.
Yeah. I'm absolutely loving the fact that I've also had this moment in my life of like, oh, I want to be this kind of person. I want to be this, I want to be that. And these things don't just happen overnight, right? So I love this more conscious, like, active role and being proactive of like, no, okay, I want to be better at public speaking. How am I going to do that? I'm going to go join Toastmasters. Excellent idea, by the way. Absolutely excellent. Like, very much recommend. No, I love this. And I think it also really helps to show not just how great you've become at your job, at these relationships, at, the sales process, but also see where you came from. Because like a lot of times it's very easy to be very impressed by where people are and not realize you could be there too. You absolutely could. So I think
Everyone
that's
can,
wonderful.
just believe in it. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, let's talk to Angelica. Let me bring you back up on stage here. There we go. Now, you have navigated a remarkable career transition from law into tech leadership, and you've spoken about the human side of digital transformation. Now, I would love to hear more about that career transformation, to start with. What was that like for you to go from law into tech? I have a background in law from law school and being a paralegal, but then I've shifted to like 3 other things. So what led you from law into tech?
It's a very interesting question, yeah, and one who is obviously important for all of my professional life. But I have to say, for 10 years, I dove really deep in law and finance and enjoyed it a lot. And for 15 years, I've been a sales leader. And overall, I feel incredibly rich, because transition is just a word for taking everything with you that you acquire along the way. So it's something that is somehow constant throughout your life anyway, and you take everything with you. And to make this a bit more concrete, maybe like in every career or education, you can probably differentiate in knowledge and know-how. And then, of course, people think, yeah, law, the knowledge part is highly specific, really rich. And knowledge in general, I believe, is achievable, it's transferable. And for a good example is probably that my law and finance background helps me extremely for C-level relationships, because it's a language they talk all the time, and I'm glad to understand it and be able to argue in it, because these are the relevant categories for them very often. So for the C-level decision making, it's the perfect knowledge that I have acquired and take with me into every career step. And if you think of know-how also as soft skills, maybe, I mean, also in sales, in the end, Sarah has pointed out and Francesca has pointed it out, people buy from people. And also selling software, you cannot solve a problem if the customer is not aware that they have a problem. So in the end, it all comes back to empathy, I think, and really good listening skills. And this is also something that has been with me all my life. And so I don't usually think so much of it as a career transition or turn, especially not kind of going back in the direction that I came from. Yeah, it's just a constant path for me, but it's one that is I feel very happy and enriched, yeah, to have those different vocabularies maybe to carry me through my day and my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I absolutely love your description of, you're taking all of these things with you, because I feel like a lot of times once we decide to make a transition,
I think make your
You're
froze.
froze.
as more as it is like, trial by fire. And so I love the idea of saying like, no, 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 you're taking all of these past experiences with you. Yes, you're leaving this situation or this arena, but the things that you know and the skills that you developed will always go with you. It's just which ones you're going to flex from time to time. And honestly, I love law as a background for a lot of things, because law school doesn't it teaches you a lot of things, but mostly it teaches you how to think differently than maybe you thought before. And so I love the idea of bringing law into other areas of the working world, because you have a certain facet through which you view the world there that is a little bit different and a little bit off from what maybe non-law people would think through. So I think it's a really great kind of like tint or shade to add to the kaleidoscope of, the vision that you're trying to put together when you have a vast team all combined trying to solve these problems. Um, I also really love your focus on the transferable skills. Is there anything that you brought from law into tech that skill-wise that you never thought you would have to use again, or you didn't really think would be applicable in the way you use it?
Uh, Maybe it's not it's probably the skill that I had and that brought me to law, but I think it's a passion for lifelong learning, and I'm an absolute curious and inquisitive person who loves to, I don't know, I eat knowledge and material maybe like other people have breakfast. Yeah? So IT has always been an incredibly rich I don't know, surrounding for me, yeah, because there's so much new going on all the time. It was when I started in IT 15 years ago, it was an incredible diverse industry, yeah, whereas law is quite, we have all 10 years, we have the same education, yeah, so we tend to have a similar view on things. But in IT, my first team was so diverse. I had a biologist, I had a priest, I had economists, I had IT people, I had me as a legal person, 100, I don't know, different nationalities. And I think this is one of the big strengths of IT and why it's still such a fast moving and creative industry compared with many others. So this is something that drives me, why I'm mentoring, why I try to further women careers, and it's also something that is lifelong. Yeah? And when I came to IT, I remember that I specifically picked the new topics, because the old topics, there were always people who had more experience and knew more about it than I did. But there are always new topics in IT, and if you have the wish to grab them and get into them, you can be the first mover, no matter where you come from. Yeah? And I think that's impressive, and that's why I still love the IT industry or tech. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. That lifelong curiosity and being committed to being a lifelong learner, those are incredibly valuable skills. And yes, it is something that some people just kind of have and they're real curious and they ask a lot of questions, but it is also something you can develop. And I feel like a lot of times people that don't think that they're curious, it's a lot of times because they never had the time to ask a question that interested them and follow it to the solution. You know, there's a lot of us have a lot of demands on our time, a lot of demands on our days. And so I feel like a lot of times it's people that necessarily didn't have like the luxury, I guess, of exploring that curiosity. But honestly, y'all, if you even if you feel like you're not a curious person, try. Though it doesn't matter what the question is. If there's something that you want to know that interests you in a real way, fall down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, like fall down the click hole and go into it, and you'll be kind of surprised, I think, by what other curiosities or knowledge you might uncover.
Yeah, and
Okay.
with the customers, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, because if you were able to ask questions of the customers, then that's 90% of it, right? Is being able to say, okay, what do you need? I know what I can offer, but what do you need? So I think that's good. All right, now we're going to go into all panel questions. So I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to ask to all of our panelists. So let me bring all of our fabulous speakers up on stage here. There we go. All right, so the first question I have, and let's see, Francesca, we'll go to you first on this. There's a big difference between being good at selling and being seen as a trusted partner by your customers. How do you make the shift between those, and what does it change about the way the customers engage with you?
Yes, this is, in my opinion, again, trustability, because the difference between a good salesperson and a leader, a person that in which the customer believe and advocacy, is the trustability. In order to gain this, to gain the customer trust, you must be consistent. Because if you are coherent, is easier to sell again. If you say that this product made something, it have to be something. If it doesn't, you lose consistency, so it's not good. The other is to maintain the promises. If you make promises, before to make, you have to think a lot of this. And when you promise something, you have to maintain. Because it's like something that is like the blood, you cannot not maintain. The third point is, in my opinion, is delivery a quality message, because you have also to say something that have some consistency in the message itself. And what we say, my colleague said before, is you have to listen, because if you listen, you can understand in which way you can go. So this is my main point of view.
Yeah, I think that's very, very well put. And you're right. I mean, there's a bunch of people in the chat also agreeing with you that like client trust is built on that consistency and delivering what you say you're going to. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with like you under promise and over deliver is always like kind of the better angle of the two to kind of go with. So I think that's great. All right, my next question, or sorry, does anybody else want to weigh in on this? I don't want to cut anyone off. Okay. All right, so for my next question, sales methodologies and frameworks are only going to take you so far. So at what point do you think the human element takes over in a deal, and how do you navigate that when stakes are especially high? Let's see, Angelica, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, happy to. I think the human element in sales is there all the time. I mean, for Dassault Systems, we do not sell products most of the time. We sell transformation. Yeah? That is in itself something that is going to take years until the customer realizes the benefits, until the organization has changed. So the sales cycles are not very short. Yeah, we don't sell our solutions in a week, and the customer will have usage and benefits of those over tens of years. And that in itself shows that without the human element of trust, none of that would work.
Absolutely. Sarah, do you have something to add here?
I love the statement that it's correctly understood that frameworks are frameworks, because also for me it's a guide, but it needs to be adapted to the situation. And I got certified at the ProSci in change management because I figured any technological transformation needs to really start focusing on the people and the processes to make it sustain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really does kind of show that you can have your head in the game, but like you also have to remember, like we are all people working within these systems. Um, I think it's one of those things that like, especially when the stakes are high, it can also feel like really high pressure. And so, do you think that that pressure really, do you feel like it impacts you when you're going into a deal, or do you think that the pressure of high stakes is something that you're able to kind of forget about? I mean, how does this work for you? Because like for me, I would be super, super nervous in a way that I would then worry would impact my performance, but you all have a lot of experience at this. So what does that feel like for you if you're heading into, heading into a meeting that you know has really, really large implications? Let's see. I know Sarah, you had talked about this briefly before. Angelica, did you want to touch on this at all, or Francesca?
Oh, Francesca, please go ahead.
No, for me, the human part is very focused because we are women and is so important that in every choose that we did and we will do, the human part is so important. And for me, it's also important the woman part because sometimes we have some empathy that can help during the dealing with the customer, and it's something that raise up if we are women. Of course, I don't want to stay only in a part of woman. We have to be at the same level. But of course, we have something that can help during the sales. As Sarah said at the beginning, we are in a male environment, and so we have to make something different in order to change the status quo. This is my point
Angelica,
of
you're
view.
laughing like something like you're remembering a situation that this applied to.
I think we all have situations. For example, I also used to speak on larger stages, and it's not seldom that you're the only woman in a room with 80 people, especially if it comes to talking to decision makers and C-level. It's still the situation in many countries. I think it's also different in different countries, and but in general, there's a way to go.
No, absolutely. Okay, let's see here. We often hear that the best salespeople are the ones who stay present long after the deal is signed. You know, that's something obviously we have harped on a lot in today's session. What do you think are the habits and behaviors that separate a truly strategic leader from someone who is simply hitting their numbers? Not to discredit that, that is very a big deal. But what do you think is the difference between that true strategy and someone that's maybe just more focused on the metrics? And how do you personally hold yourself accountable to your customers over time? Sarah, would you like to start us here?
Sure. I think the question itself already provides my key answer, and it is still be there and don't sell and run, because that's the only way how you can be perceived as a trusted partner. So you have to shift your mindset from transactional to transformational. And that reminds me of a piece of advice and quote that my line manager, my former line manager, once shared with me. And he said, a business case you build for the customer is a slide, and a business case you build with them on their own flip chart is a decision. So I always try to plan together with my customers. We have a shared vision that already is 5 or maybe even 10 years, and that is something we constantly check in and work towards too. But then, of course, we also have people and experts at Dassault Systems who would regularly check in with the customer in terms of hand-holding, in terms of ensuring that they use the software so that it brings the value that we defined it would deliver. So it's a lot of commitment that comes also after the sales.
No, I love this, and I think you're very right. You're taking a sales pitch from a sales pitch into a collaborative session. I think that is massive, massive difference and massive payoff there. Francesca, how do you feel about this?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah, please.
Just, you invest in that long-term customer success. And it is always a balance, right? In sales, we need to hit our short-term quota. But it turned out to be very successful to keep the long-term relationship in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Francesca, how has this worked for you? Have there been habits that you've developed or anything that has changed from maybe days when you were focused on metrics to now when you are realizing that the true value is in those relationships?
Yes, I have to add something more that, in my opinion, is important. In my opinion, is very the salesperson have to stay every time to the customer, as I said at the beginning. Because if you sell and if you got the PO, as we say in jargon, the purchase order, and go away, you lose everything. You really lose everything. So my first point is this. So the trustability is again so important during the sales process and during also of our life, because if we remember that the main part of our life is in the job, we lose 8 hours, we hope, to sleep. We have to be reliable every day in every part of our life. And this is very important. But you have also to find a way to balance, of course, as Sarah said before, to make a balance between the job and the personal life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And actually, this is a really good question because I know I've gotten to work with Dassault Systems for like, oh my gosh, it's like 7 years now. And so I'm really I love the consistency that I get from the Dassault team about, kind of how Dassault supports y'all and how the company culture is so like I keep saying supportive, but like that's truly what I hear time and time and time again. How does Dassault Systems encourage you to have that balance, Francesca, especially like you said, this is a large part of our lives, but for a lot of people, we work so that we can afford the life we want, so that we can have, time with our families, all that kind of stuff. So how does that work for you with Dassault Systems?
Dassault Systèmes encourage this part because understand very well if the company doesn't lose the people. Because if you have not the person that is in the right way, you go away because it's not possible to make another way. And in my opinion, what is so nice, I think that everyone know, but is as Confucius said, no, if we choose a job that we love, you will never work a day in your life. Is a mantra for me because the way that we make it is to find a job that we love, and the Dassault system push a lot on this in order to give us to a job that we love.
That's wonderful. Angelica, I see you nodding along a lot. Did you want to add anything here?
I know it's funny because Francesca now just said what I had as the one piece of advice, yeah. So she sort of took that, but what I wanted to add is that I think, I mean, okay, there was a transition in your question, Meg, from how Dassault supports that we are also reliable to our customers, but also Dassault as the whole has really, I think, a culture we stick it out with our customers, and this is there are examples of competitive vendors who announce the end of life of their solutions, and then the customers are standing in the rain. We have never done that. So I think it's something that you feel in the strategic decisions of the company, but it's also something that you feel personally when at Dassault you have people who know customers since, I don't know, 30 years, and they remember how it started, and they still have a joint vision for the future. So I think it's very ingrained in our corporate culture. And then the question, can you be there as a person also for your counterpart at the customer is another aspect of stability. And you, I mean, it's also clear the customers who decide for our solutions, or the people who are then tasked with working or implementing them, their career is also on the line. This, you are really in this jointly. And they need to be able to develop this trust. And I think you need both. Yeah, you need it on the personal level, but you also need to know the company is behind the salespeople there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's also something that is very reassuring to a customer, to a client, that the vibe they're getting from their specific salesperson is reflected in the larger org. Because, you know, I I've been in positions where I had to work with vendors, and there were certain vendors that were more favorite of mine than others because they were a bit less salesy, you know, a bit less, you know, kind of slick and, oh, and here's what I can do for you and blah, 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 and not asking any questions kind of thing. And so I think it's got to be very reassuring from a client perspective to not only see this attitude and this like collaborative, convivial kind of attitude, not just in the salesperson, but also reflected in the wider org. And also, I mean, that's got to be very bolstering for you as well. Sarah, how do you feel about this when you are trying to bring that sense of authenticity to your role? Do you feel like that's supported?
Absolutely. And following up on what has already been perfectly summarized. So for me, value-based selling is not just a technique, it must be an important part of an organizational culture. So if you're selling value, you have to believe in it. Brings me back to my original story about authenticity and the importance of standing behind what you sell, but also working in an environment that is in line with your personal values.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the one thing that I did want to ask, because this is something that I'm very curious about. I know Dassault is a French-based company to start with. My husband also works for a French company. Love y'all. And I think it's one of those things that it's important when we're talking about sales to also recognize that salespeople are kind of always on, and also you have lives of your own, presumably outside of the office where you know, eat food and talk to family and do all of these things. What is it like? What does that work-life balance or work-life integration look like at Dassault? Like, practically speaking, can you tell us what, you know, how much of your working life then is bleeding over into your personal life, shall we say? Sarah, do you want to start us and then we'll go to everybody for this one?
Sure. So overall, for me, it's always taking and giving. So it's part of my own responsibility to know when is a real critical situation. And then I go the extra mile, I work extra, might be the weekend or interfere with my leisure time. But then it's my personal responsibility to also take back if, for instance, the hairdresser has only time in the afternoon and I know I worked extra time over the weekend, I take that time, right? In alignment with my line manager, of course. But other than that, I think there might be cultural differences. So I had a prior job outside of Dassault in Switzerland, and there I literally worked from dusk till dawn. When I moved to Sweden and started working at Dassault, my line manager back then told me every single day in the first 2 weeks, Sarah, go home, go home, go home. In this country, it's not okay if you stay longer than your boss all the time, because it means I don't prioritize your tasks the right way, right? I give you too much. So I come home to my boyfriend with a big grin and saying, wow, I could do, you know, gym, groceries, cooking and Netflix on the same day. Before that, it was spread across the week. And I think it's very common for the Nordics to also have those coffee breaks called fika and socialize in between. It's very important to take breaks. And I only learned after 11 years of professional experience that it is true that if you take breaks, you are more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm coming to you from an American perspective, a very Western mindset focus, and it is not take breaks because you need them. And water cooler chat is not always encouraged. And, so it's a very different mindset, but I absolutely love hearing things that reframe and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely how you should be looking at this. Like your boss saying to you, like, no, you need to go home because it reflects poorly on me that I'm not managing your tasks well.
Yeah, for me,
Hi. Well, especially for coming from like sometimes the American sales mindset is you die at your desk. Like go, you will be there, you will be serving your customers, you will be doing truly like that was the thing. And so I really think not only is it just my millennial heart is loving all of this, but also like it's just smarter. Okay, you cannot burn people out and expect them to keep performing professionally at the levels that they can when they are well rested, when they are supported in their careers, when they have the salespeople underneath them to make sure that the things that they're promising can actually come to fruition. These are all very, very important aspects and something that a lot of us have learned to live without. So I think it's very smart that we are vocal and we talk about these things. Francesca, do you agree? Is this, is it
Yes,
the,
yes. I
yeah,
completely agree with Sarah. You have to dedicate time to you with music, with work, with something that you love. You don't need a lot of time, but you need the time. Without this, it's impossible to go ahead in terms of productivity, but not only, also for idea. Because if you stop, sometimes you can think something that if you stay every minute on the job, you cannot think. So it's also the time for you is a period of the life in which you can find something more, make something like a brainstorming with yourself.
yeah,
I think so.
I like this a lot. Angelica, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I have one other aspect, and remember that I'm still working in this hardliner country that Sarah mentioned. Yeah, I have been in Switzerland now for 15 years, but I mean, in tech and in IT, yes, it can be challenging, but I also have young mothers in my team, for example, and I have to say the flexibility to work remotely and the generosity. I mean, okay, it's both, yeah. It can be dangerous because you can work from everywhere all the time, but it can also be really, really great if you want to be flexible. And I remember myself when my child was small, I looked for a project with Australia, so I worked nights, yeah, which was helpful for me at the time. And we have so many customers in discrete industries where the people still have to be on site every day. So I would like to make a small advertisement for tech and IT for women specifically, because the flexibility you have in this industry can really be greater than in many others, even though the workload overall is high, I have to admit.
No, I think these are honest conversations and these are incredibly valuable and valid. And that's, a large part of why Powerfly started and we started in the tech space was because this is where the opportunities were, to be flexible, to have the ability for moms to get back into the workforce if that's what they wanted. So I think that it is really important to highlight. Okay, last couple questions I have because I want to make sure we maximize the time with these fabulous leaders. Structured methodologies like MEDDIC give sales professionals a powerful playbook, but applying them at the CXO level can require more than just process knowledge. How do you use frameworks like these to open doors and maintain relationships at the highest level without it feeling transactional to the customer? So Sarah, you had touched on this earlier about like like the frameworks and the methodologies to selling. How can you utilize those to your advantage in a way that does not feel transactional?
Luckily, we have a full-fledged Dassault Systems framework around this. So after we, with our experts, did the customer profiling, mapped the objective and landscape to where we see we can add true value, we have the so-called value engagement framework. So it's in easy words about defining the future together with the customer. Where do we want to go? It's then about assessing how to get from A to B. And then obviously the commitment, because if we have identified a success metrics or a return on investment, it's on us to then show up and deliver what we have sold, right? And after that, obviously, it's a transformational piece that we discussed afterwards to ensure that we have after sales care and think about how we can transform even better from that point.
Love this. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we're able to touch on the last point here before we jump off. Looking back at your career in sales so far, what's the one piece of advice that you would want to give to somebody who wants to grow into a more strategic and customer-focused role, regardless of where they might be starting? So, what's one thing that you think would be a helpful tip in this arena? Let's see. Angelica, do you want to start us? And then we'll go Francesca and then Sarah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's what Francesca said before. If you love what you do, you can go anywhere. That is my firm belief, and that is also what my career shows.
Love that. Love that. Francesca, how about you? What's one piece of advice you want to give somebody who wants to become a more strategic and customer-focused role?
First is believe in yourself. Because if you believe in yourself, you can apply any kind of methodology, any kind of trustability. You have to believe in yourself. I think that you have all the skill needed. If you have someone that is not so clear, you have only to develop. So my point of view is this.
I like this. All right, Sarah, what about you?
Love it. Growth mindset, I think, could combine what Angelica and Francesca have perfectly outlined already. So if you know who you are and who you want to become, it's up to you to do the work to get there. And I'm pretty sure that if you believe, then you can. And I have one actual practical tip. We can do it together. I did that even before the webinar, because even after Toastmasters, I'm still nervous, obviously, public speaking. But what helps me in any tricky situation is the power pose. So you just lift both hands, you stand straight, you feel your feet on the ground, and you stand like this with a smile. And all of a sudden, you feel you can do anything.
Okay, I call it the Rebecca Welton pose. Is anybody else familiar with Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she like stands in front of a mirror and makes herself as big and like like lion scary as she can. That is exactly how I feel. Like it is, and I'm telling you right now, I've got like goosebumps because like every time you do it, I don't know what it is. It releases something in the feel-good chemicals in your brain that is like, yes, this is what's up.
Actually, I have goosebumps too. Really, yeah. Maybe you cannot see them, but honestly.
It works. It's fabulous. Okay. All right. This is the portion where we have to wrap up, but I just want to say, Sarah, Angelica, and Francesca, thank you to each of you for taking time out of your day to be here with us today. All of the prep work that goes into this, it is not an easy process. So thank you all so, so much for being here and for being so open with your experiences, your feelings, what you've seen. We really, really appreciate it. And just I always love working with the Dassault Systems teams. But thank you so much to each of you. This has been wonderful.
Thanks as well, and for everyone showing up today.
Yes, absolutely. So to all of our audience members here who came out for this today, thank you so, so much. We really appreciate any time that you spend with Power to Fly and great companies like Dassault Systems. The one thing I do want to highlight before we go is if anything that we've said today really piques your interest in Dassault, please, please, please make sure you check out their page on powertofly.com. We're sending links for all of this in the chat thread as we go. I really encourage you to check out their company page, learn some more about the org, what they do. Absolutely take a look at their open roles as well. And then if you are interested or you think that you might want to apply, make sure that you click that follow button. It's big, pink. It's at the top of every company page on powertofly.com. If you're not seeing it, it's because you're not logged in. But make sure that you click that follow button. It's going to do some great things for you, but what it's ultimately going to do, it's going to tell the Dassault team that you are interested in working with them even before you fill out an application. And it's going to allow Power to Fly to take some of the weight off of you in your job search, because we're going to let you know when they post new roles or have new events like this going on. So hope that y'all will take advantage. Make sure that you learn some more about this great company. And I hope that if this was your first event with Power to Fly or your 40th, it will not be your last, and we will see you around sooner rather than later. That's it for us today, y'all. Go out, have the day you deserve, and we will see y'all back here soon.
Bye, everyone.
Meg, thank you, everyone.